Okay, so everybody go ahead and open your religion book to page 27. Scoot your chair in, be in a good listening position. What we're going to do is we're going to read this prayer together. Or we're going to read it out loud. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take each stanza. A stanza is like a line or a paragraph in a song or a poem or a prayer. Each person is going to get one stanza. You're going to write it in pencil on a piece of white computer paper or white construction paper. Then you're going to go over it with flair, and then you're going to decorate it. And so we're going to have the whole prayer decorated by each of you to hang up out in the hall. This will, it'll go above where our seasonal stuff, and it'll stay, maybe we'll keep it up all year. There is one section where there's two little sections, and one person will do each of the little two sections, otherwise we have too many. But first, let's go ahead and read this prayer. Kingston, go ahead, start with the title of the prayer.
Praise the Lord for his creation.
Louder. Yeah, go ahead and put face shields on, sorry.
Praise the Lord for his creation.
Keep going. Read that first little stanza. So when you get to the part where there's a pretty long space, that's where you'll stop.
Bless the Lord, O my
A
soul.
little louder.
Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord, my God, you are great and wonderful. All majesty and your glory are yours.
Good. Okay, read the next stanza, Smith. So that part, then stop when you get to where there's a bigger space between the lines.
Out of your love, you created the heavens and the earth. In the wide blue sky, you made the sun to shine by day, giving light and warmth. As evening comes, the moon and the stars give light to the darkness.
Good. Read the next stanza, Ethan.
You made mountains, valleys, and the oceans you set in a place you have fixed for them.
Good. Read next, Carla.
You made the mountains.
Hold on one second. Carla, you're a little, can you move your microphone a little closer to your mouth? And Ethan already read that.
You made the lakes and streams that wind among
Wind.
the mountains.
That wind, that means they move around the mountains like this.
Giving drink to all the living things. In the water you put swimming creatures, both great and small.
Thank you. Read next, Zari.
You fill the skies with all kinds of birds. The birds build their nests in the trees you plant, and from the branches the birds sing forth their song.
Good. Kingston, read next.
How many are your works, O Lord? The earth is full of your creatures, and wisdom you have made them.
Read next, Zadie.
You send rain to water the earth, and the land is plentiful with.
Plentiful. Don't forget that I in the middle. Plentiful.
You send the rainwater, the earth, and the land is plentiful with the fruits of your works.
Read next, Cullen.
You rise grass and
Not
you rise grass for the cultures,
cattle.
cattle.
There's no R. Don't guess.
You rise grass for the cattle and vegetables for
Vegetation.
vegetation for people's use. At sunrise, people work to gather from the earth the food and drinks that you have promised.
Read next. Me. All of your creations depend on you for life, and you give them all that they need. In your great love, you send forth your spirit and continue your creative work. Ethan, read next.
With each new day that dawns, each new flower that blooms, with each new child that's born, you renew the face of the earth.
And read the very last bit, Michaela.
May all creations give glory and praise to you, O Lord. I will sing praise to you, my God. Bless the Lord, O my soul.
Okay, so this is a prayer that is based on Psalm 104. Remember, the Psalms are prayers in the Bible that were actually written to be sung. So this prayer is based on Psalm 104. Now, what you probably notice is that each of these stanzas has a lot of good images. Each stanza talks about a different part of God's creation. That means whatever stanza you get, look for the part of creation that it's talking about, and that's where your illustration is going to come from. So right now, I'm just going to pick sticks, and I'm going to tell you which part you're going to do. I'm leaving myself out. So use your pencil to put a box around the stanza that you get. One person is going to get two stanzas, but they're short stanzas, and one doesn't really have good images, but the other one does. So the first stanza, this is, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, to all majesty and glory are yours." Victoria, you're going to do the first stanza. So that means you're going to base your illustration on something that it says in that stanza. Okay? What? That's okay. Not everybody got to. Because I ran out of sticks halfway through, so I put everybody in, so that means we started over. Okay, the second stanza, which is, "Out of your love all the way to give light to the darkness." Ooh, I hear them, they're talking about the sky, the sun, stars, and the moon. So your drawing will probably include those things. Aaron, you have "out of your love to give light to the darkness." So put a box around that. The next stanza, "You made the mountains and the valleys in a place you had fixed for them." Smith, so you'll get to draw some mountains and valleys and things like that. "You made lakes and streams to both great and small." Cullen, so that's talking about lakes and streams and the swimming creatures. So that's what your drawing will be based on, or your illustrations. Let's see, next. "You filled the skies with all kinds of birds, and from the branches the birds send forth their song." Ethan, that's your stanza, so you'll get to draw birds. Now, this is the part where the next person gets to do two stanzas. "From how many are your works, O Lord, to with the fruits of your works." Kingston, that's yours. So put a box around those two stanzas. So it starts at "how many are your works, O Lord," and it ends at "with the fruits of your works." Next, "You raise grass for the cattle to the food and drink that you have promised." Zari, that's yours. Then "all of your creation generations depend on you for life to and continue your creative work. Zadie, that's yours. With each new day that dawns, to you renew the face of the earth. Michaela. And then the last little bit, may all creation give glory and praise to bless the Lord, O my soul, is Carla. So does anybody have any questions about which one they're doing? I'm going to come around and check that you have the right thing put in a circle, okay? Or in a box. You're going to use either a piece of white computer paper or a piece of white construction paper you're going to write it with pencil first in the middle. Like, so here's your piece of paper. And here's where you're going to write your whole stanza, or stanzas in one of your case. With pencil. Neatly, once you're finished writing it with pencil, you need to do that thing where you check each individual word and match each individual word to the word in the prayer. Not the whole thing, each individual word. Set it up the same way they did in the prayer. So one line goes all the way across, then the next line. Don't make it into more or less lines than what they have here. So you need to watch your handwriting. Make sure that you are copying it exactly as it appears. That means capital letters, lowercase letters, punctuation. Don't put more on one line than they did. Don't break one line that they did up into two. Once you're done and you have made sure that every single pencil mark is exactly the same as the prayer in the book, you'll go over it with your flare. Once you've gone over it with your flare, give it a minute, erase all the pencil marks. When you're going over with flare, make sure you're tracing the pencil, not just writing on top. Remember, that means you're doing this. Here's my pencil mark. There's my pencil. When I go over with flare, I'm not just going to do this and then erase all the pencil marks so that you can't tell, because that doesn't help you to not make mistakes. What you need to do is, after you do it with pencil, you need to slowly trace every bit. Does everybody understand what I mean by tracing it instead of just writing over top? Then, you're just thinking about your question right now. I can tell that, because you're not waiting to see if I'm keeping going. You're just thinking about your question, so you're missing all of this. Then, once you have gone over it with flare, give it a minute, erase any stray pencil marks. There shouldn't really be many because you're tracing, but there will be some here and there. Then you can illustrate. Illustrate it with the images that are in your stanza. If there aren't really any images, well, then you can choose. But things like love can be images. But if it gives you animals or plants or specific things, that's what I want you to illustrate it with. Look at how it's illustrated on this prayer, where the illustration is in the background. That is fine with me. Just make sure that your illustration is not so dark that we can't read your words. If you are doing the illustration in the whole background, that's fine with me. But make sure you're doing it lightly so that we can still see the words. So use the images that are in your stanza. So if you have stars and sun and moon in your stanza, your illustration bit should be with stars, sun, and moon. If you have crops and plants and grasses, then your illustration should be farmland with crops and grasses and things like that. If your stanza doesn't really have any animals or plants, but it does have something like love, well, think of the way that you can show love in your illustration. If it has something like earth, but nothing specific, well then, hey, you can draw the earth. I want you to be creative, be colorful. You do not have to finish them today. If you don't, just take your time. If you don't finish them today, that's okay. You can have some more time. You can work on it whenever we have extra time. You'll just have to finish it by Friday, by religion class on Friday, which means Thursday night, if you're not finished, you need to take it home and finish. Okay, any questions before I pass out the paper? When somebody is asking a question, your hand goes down so that you can listen to their question and my answer. Kingston, what's your question?
So, if we have any kind of like whatever, anything that's related with water animals, how would, like, wouldn't y'all think like this?
You can, however you want.
Okay.
Victoria.
So I have to write the title.
You don't have to write the title, just the stanza. Yes.
So if we didn't get something involving the sky, and we draw something, and then we draw a sky.
That's fine. Just that shouldn't be your main focus. Like, but that's fine. Like, you know, that just shouldn't be your main focus. Is like the sky with stars and things. Carla.
Well, I don't have that much thing to write about, but I don't know what to draw.
Carla, I can't hear you because your microphone's not close enough to your mouth. There you go.
I don't know what to draw.
So you need to think. You need to look at your stanza and look at the words, and then just think. You might just have regular decorations. You might not have a specific thing. You just may be decorating it with color and designs and patterns. Okay? So you just think, how can I make this look pretty? If you don't have a specific thing, then you just make it look pretty. But there is some imagery, because you have the very last one, right? Well, it says, I will sing praise to you, oh my God. Oh, it doesn't say oh. It says, I will sing praise to you, my God. Or, so you could draw a choir singing. Or it says, may all creation give glory and praise. Well, if you want to draw all of creation, that means you could draw the solar system. Anything like that. But make sure that your picture isn't teeny tiny. Like, your picture should take up most, if not all, of the page, okay? If that means you have little pictures all over the place, that's okay. But don't just have your stanza and then this one little picture down here. Okay? Like, it should take up most, if not all, of the page. Or if you have one that mentions all kind of animals, well, you can draw a little animal, different animals all over the place. Any more questions? Okay, those of you at home, get out a piece of white construction paper or white computer paper, not lined paper. Do it with pencil first, very neatly. Copy it exactly as it appears. That means all capitals, all correct lower cases, all correct punctuation. The lines look the same, and then go ahead.